All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new season, brand new season of the Senior Care Group. We're back. We took the summer off. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed their summer. We got a lot of great meetings lined up for you. I'm John Freitag with the Freitag Family Agency. I have Donna Dachuk from Rothkopf Elder Law, Desiree Krager from Premier Home Care, and our special guest this month is Julio Briones of the Briones Group. And Julio is going to talk us through developing marketing strategies. And I know Julio's worked with both myself and Desiree, and he's a wealth of information. And he's going to share everything. But Julio, you were actually with us September last year, and you gave us a lot of great info. But for anyone who missed that, give us a little bit of introduction, a little bit of background about yourself.
Well, I'm Julio Briones with the Briones Consulting Group, and I'm a senior care business strategist. All right. So basically, it's like a business consultant, but I just focus on the senior care industry, working with operations, marketing, and recruitment strategy in order to try to bring people forward. When it comes to recruitment, I work with pretty much anybody, whether it's Medicaid or private pay or anything in between. You know, from skilled nursing all the way over to home care. When it comes to marketing, my specialty really is the private pay market. All right, there's a slightly different technique when you're approaching people for private pay than you are when you're working with Medicaid or even VA. And VA is kind of somewhere in between, but yeah, last year I think it was right around the same date too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and we covered a lot about recruitment and retention on that one, and if my memory serves me right. But yeah, so I'm happy to be back and happy to share some more information with you guys. And if you guys are ready, we go ahead and get started.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, here we go. Oh, all right. So today we're going to go a little bit on marketing strategy. All right. When it comes, I'm not going to. One of my favorite quotes here: "Markets are conversations." All right. So this is, when you're talking to people. All right. People, businesses are built by people, and these relationships that we develop during our time around them is what's really going to help us grow our business. Doesn't matter if you are selling oranges on the side of the highway or if you're selling senior care on a high level. You have to build your relationships, and you have to be able to understand who you're talking to. All right, I already went into the whole thing, a little bit about me. Our company, just a little bit extra. We do work mainly with data, and we do work with the data that's built by you, not just general market data. To me, that's kind of cheating if you're just using examples. So when we're talking about sales strategy, think of it like an easel. Okay, there's three parts, and if any one is missing, everything's just going to fall over. You have to understand one, lead generation. What is it? Where are your leads coming from? Who are you, what methods are you using to get them? Where's that inbound flow, or how much of an outbound flow do you need? Then we have to know, like, once we understand where the leads are going to eventually come from, we have to really understand the targeting. Who are we going to target? How are we going to target them? And, basically we have to get into the head of who it is we're trying to reach. All right. And that is going to lead us to the last part of the easel, this big tripod that holds it all together. And that is our messaging. All right. Now that we know where the leads we want them to come from, we know who we're going to try to talk to, how do we talk to them? Okay. And with any one of these elements missing, we're going to have a hard time really developing a successful strategy, and we're going to have a very difficult time attracting clients our way. And while this is specifically for the healthcare industry, this approach, this tactic works really with any industry that you're in. So let's first talk about, my favorite part, lead generation. All right, so in my opinion and in my my experience, there's a big difference between marketing and business development. We're going to talk about each of them separately, right? Now, if you're a dinosaur like me, back in the 90s, marketing meant business development. They were synonymous. There was no real difference. But since I would say probably about 2004, 2005, at the real big push of social media, when everybody started moving off of MySpace and moving into, the Facebook world, and started moving, Google started becoming bigger, we started coming out of the era of AOL Instant Messenger and all of this. Digital marketing really started to take hold, and it started to become this out of control monster that it is today. So when we're talking about marketing to most people today, that's what they mean. They mean digital searches, internet, lead generation services, social media. And when you're developing a marketing campaign, you really have to focus in on brand awareness. If I put an ad on Facebook because I want you to call me for home care services, for insurance services, I want you to call, my law group, I want you to call me to fix your car. It's not about getting you to click. It's not about making a sale right away, unless you're selling a widget, like selling a pen, selling something like that. The sale is not going to happen. It's about making the people aware that you exist, about making them unconsciously recognize your brand when they're in front of a referral partner. Right? That's the focus. You want, that's why they, even all the gurus out there will tell you the same thing. Your messaging needs to be concise and quick and image oriented. Okay? Because I need to feel when I'm sitting there with that social worker, when I'm sitting there with anyone, and they're handing me 3 to 5 brochures, okay, and I'm trying to figure out which company to go with, you want me to remember your brand, okay? And that's where marketing comes in. If I'm a caregiver and I'm sitting there because, if I'm recruiting, because this applies either way, if I'm recruiting and I've got all these advertisements out there, if I'm doing myself a disservice if I'm not putting my brand out there, that image, that feeling, that is what we want. Okay. Got to remember one thing, and throughout all of this, we'll repeat this a number of times. People will buy emotionally, and they will justify that purchase with logic. So we want that strong emotional response right away, and we want it associated, preferably positively, with your brand. Okay. Most of the people that are shopping this way, they're window shoppers. They don't need what you're offering. They don't, they're kind of casually perusing it. The conversion rates are ridiculously low, but it's an absolute necessity to develop a good marketing campaign along with your business development strategy. All of this that I've talked about, brand awareness, everything else, is especially important if we're going to pay a lead generation service. I don't care if you're using Karen Homes. I don't care if you're using, pay-per-click ads on Facebook. I don't care if you're going to some other website like AVVO or caring.com or anything like that. Wherever you're generating leads, wherever you're putting your information out there, strong images, you want that emotional response, you want that positive response, and you want it strongly tied to your brand. Not because you're going to make a sale today, but because when your name comes up in another conversation, you want people to think well of you. Which brings me to my favorite topic, which is business development. Business development is also known as an organic lead. Okay. Think of it just like, in terms of food. Do you want that processed cheese that's all chemical made out of oil, or do you want the cheese that came straight out of the cow? All right. That's what you want. The quality is there. All right. These are solid relationships that you have built by talking to people, by being a resource, by doing a number of different things throughout the course of your activity, that that person feels confident enough to refer you. The thing about business development that makes it different from marketing, just in a very top level sense, is that when you're marketing, you're taking a shotgun approach. You're putting your information out there and hoping for the best. When you're doing a business development activities, you are getting or trying to get someone who knows very little about you to know, like, and trust you enough to put their job, their reputation, and in some cases, their entire business on the line by giving you a referral. Okay. It's relationship focused. And because of all of this, I'm the client, I go to you. You trust, I trust you enough because, you've helped me. You've helped me take care of something or another. And I'm going to go with anyone you refer to me. So to put this in the sense of a skilled nursing facility with a social worker, or an assisted living facility with a director of nursing, I'm sitting there with 3 brochures, 4 brochures. I'm looking for home care services. I'm looking, looking for somebody to resolve this need for me. The relationship you as a service provider will have built with that referral partner is going to give, it's going to give that referral partner the confidence to tell me, the client, hey, listen, these are our available partners right now. But we all know that ethics violations and everything else, they can't directly say, yeah, go with this guy in most cases. But, sometimes they'll slide that brochure out to you first, or say, yeah, but I know this company, I know this person, the salesman's really nice, or the office rep is great, or hey, I've never had an issue with this company. And they do it in a kind of a roundabout way. And all of that really leads to very high conversion rates. So what are we talking about with marketing and business development? The big difference is, with marketing, you're only looking at 12 to 20% conversion. That's it. You're spending all this money for a 12 to 20% conversion rate. Depending on the quality of the lead that came in is the higher your chances. But those digital marketing leads, most times they will take an average of 8 to 12 contacts before you convert them. All right. Why is that number particularly important? Because of the fact is that most people give up somewhere between 3 and 5 communications. That's it. So
Right.
it's an endurance game. If you're going to spend money on marketing campaign, knock yourself out. It's definitely a very, very needed part of your overall strategy. But just understand that the conversion rate is low, even if you're a pro at follow-up.
Right. And I can tell you
Versus,
firsthand,
yeah.
working leads versus working referrals are
Hmm.
way, way, way
Oh
different,
yeah.
because you're trying to prove yourself with that first contact,
Yep.
that you can be trusted, that you can do everything that you're
Hmm.
promising. When you have when you have a relationship and you're getting
Right.
a referral,
Yeah.
they've already built that trust for you.
Right. And the other big problem especially when it comes to dealing with those leads, the lead generation services are the worst. I mean, look, I always tell my clients that if you want to understand what your potential client is going through when they get one of these digital leads or one of these referral services that they're putting in from, doesn't matter which one, caring.com, Karen Homes, Place for Mom, it doesn't make a difference. It's all the same thing. Once you submit your information, if you want to know what their experience is, go shop for car insurance online. All right. More times than not, you'll have to shut your phone off before it'll stop.
Yeah. I
Right.
used
And
Lending
that's,
Tree once. Oh my God.
oh, yeah,
I would
I
have
can
thrown my phone out
imagine.
the window.
But I'll tell you what, the better ones, even on places like Lending Tree, car insurance, anything like that, the same thing happens in the senior care business. The ones that get the higher conversion rate, very simply, are the ones that are persistent. 3 months later, 4 months later, my recommendation is, if you're chasing down a lead, wait until they tell you that the person that you're calling about, that we're looking for help on, wait until you're told that they died twice, not once. Because if you wait till somebody tells you they died once, they're just trying to blow you off. You know, it may seem insensitive, but it's an effective method. You know,
That's great.
yeah, it's look, I'll tell you, I've been on both ends of this. and at different points of my career. And I will tell you, one of the first things I tell any one of my clients when they're struggling, especially with the digital leads, build a database, create a MailChimp account, put everybody on there, make it a point every single month to go back to the beginning of that list and start over until you're told 2 times that they're going to die, that the person's dead, or that the person has, that they're going to call the cops on you. Don't even worry about it. We're not in California. If you're in California or in Europe, you have to worry about that. Most other states, you're fine because they voluntarily gave the information and you purchased the lead.
Well, I will even say, Julio, when I was working lead base and I'd find out that they went to another community, I didn't give it up because how do I know that they're going to be happy there? Most people, to your point, they hear that they moved into another place, they're done.
They stop. Yep.
They stop. And that's the biggest mistake because I got more move-ins because I was that persistent person when they weren't happy where they ended up the first time.
You're absolutely.
Not many,
Yep. Look, let me tell you, one of the things that I used to do when I used to chase down leads, before I went into consulting, and I teach this to my clients too. It's a great tip. Always have a sale that ends on Friday. Always. So if I call you and you tell me, oh, well, let's say you're a home care agency. I've already, thanks for calling, but we already found a service provider. Oh, great. Well, let me ask you, how long have you been with them? Oh, a couple of weeks. By then they're unhappy already. Well, you know what? We're offering this sale for new clients only, 10% off of your first bill, but the sale ends Friday. You can give me a call back. Now, if it's Friday that you're calling them, it's the following Friday, but that's generally how it goes. Also with these digital leads, follow up on the evenings, follow up on the weekends. Most of the time, pay attention to the time the lead came in, and that's the time that they're sitting around doing nothing, and that's your highest likelihood of success. If that, I've had clients that are so aggressive about it that if that lead comes in at 3 o'clock in the morning, they were calling at 3 o'clock in the morning. Wow. But it's effective. There's a client I have in New York that I still work with them. They've generated a $2.5 million private pay only home care business without a marketer, strictly by doggedly following up on leads. It's very effective if you do it right. I never recommend it. I do believe in relationship building over digital marketing. It's just because of the conversion rate and the stress levels are much lower. It's harder to build up in the beginning, but it makes for much more effective business practice in the long run. So
yeah, I don't think you're constantly hand to mouth. You've got that relationship built, and as long as you're holding up your end of the bargain and you're delivering everything you promised, and you continue to nurture the relationship, you can anticipate.
The best. I'll tell you where I think honestly the best place for digital leads is any agency that is doing less. If you're in home care, if you're doing less than $50,000 a month in private pay business, activate digital leads. Go on it, work on it, because as you're going to set up these intakes and in-homes, it gives you the opportunity to walk into hospitals and into skilled nursing facilities that you may not have had the opportunity to walk into otherwise. Make sure you have to really be diligent about setting up the in-home and not through Zoom, in person. Most facilities will let you in at least once, especially with client authorization. All right.
Good tip.
So now that we know where we're getting the leads, let's move on to the next part of this. Identifying and understanding your client. Look, I've done a lot of workshops and seminars on this, okay? The thing is, one of my favorite questions to ask, especially a new audience, is who is your ideal client, right? And in private pay space, because like I said, that's really where my focus comes in. In the private pay space, the one thing I hear all the time is any old person with money. That's not true, okay? What's your specialty? What makes you different? If you first you have to, it's like the old saying, know thyself. You have to know what you're good at, All right. If I just want to be a middle of the road, swim with the current, don't knock anybody. I might do one or two things okay, great. There's nothing wrong with that. Like if your market is in that $32 to $35 an hour range, stay in your lane. If that's where you're comfortable, do it. If you want to be a bargain agency, hey, knock yourself out. That's a race to the bottom. I never recommend it, but all you got to do is find out who's the lowest person and say, hey, I'll beat them by $1. That's it. But if you want to be that premier agency, I'm talking about that white glove agency that you want to charge where everybody else is $32 an hour, you want to charge $50, $55 an hour, knock yourself out. You can do it. Yeah, believe me, it can be done. I've set this up many times before. All right. In the beginning of COVID, not COVID, I'm sorry, before COVID, I had a client in Washington State. They were one of the first places to do $15 an hour. Everybody else was terrified, and they were charging $32 to $35 an hour to keep pace with their margins. I had a client out there that very successful doing this. We were charging $55 an hour for service. How? Knowing the target, understanding what you're looking for, and most importantly, understanding where to find them. Okay. If you know that what you want is the type of person that says money is no object, then you have to understand how to speak their language. You have to know where they live, and you have to know how to cater to them. The fact is, if you're looking for that high-end client, believe it or not, you don't want to find that $20 million home. That's not where they live. Those people, they hire people privately, one-on-one, to live with them. They'll move their entire family, their staff's entire family into their home just to assure that they have everything they need. You want to find somebody, for example, find out what the median income is where you live. Okay, if you really want to target them, you want to go 40 to 60% above median income. So let's take Philadelphia, for example. Median income in Philadelphia is $68,000 a year. If I were setting up a private pay agency that wanted to go for the slightly higher pay rate, if I wanted to be 5 to 10% above everyone else on what my billing is, and I wanted to find those clients that need high volume of hours, 50 hours plus a week, I'm going to specifically look for neighborhoods where people are doing between $110,000 to $180,000 a year. I want to find households that have one person 65 years and older living in their household. And those are the neighborhoods that I'm going to target, because those are the people that make enough money to have a good quality of life. They have an older person living at home. So that means there's a target. My ideal target client is in that home. And then the salary range assures me that they have to work for a living and that they're not willing to give up working because they don't want to give up their lifestyle. So they would much rather hire my agency to come in to work for them 50 hours a week, because it's 40 hours plus the average commute is about 30 to 45 minutes each way. So now I've specifically targeted and built out a specific target audience for who I am looking for. And you can do this anywhere. If I'm going to go with, for example, targeting Medicaid, I'm going to do the same thing the other way around. Median income is $68,000 a year. I'm going to target somebody 40% below the median income, because that's going to put me in that range for Medicaid for the low income. And I'm going to try to find places specifically with a slightly lower than average crime rate. So if, let's say, violent crime in your typical center city neighborhood, I'm just going to randomly pick a number. Let's say it's 10,000 incidents per 100,000. Okay, I would want to find a place that has 8,000 incidents per 100,000. So the crime rate is bad, but not so bad that people won't go there. That will increase not only my likelihood to find Medicaid clients, but it's also going to increase my likelihood to find caregivers. and this way I've solved two problems at once. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you need to identify and understand your target. Whether you're recruiting, whether you are marketing, you have to know who you're looking for. And it works the same way in any industry. It doesn't really make a difference, because whether it's all going to matter on what it is that you're looking for. You have to understand the where everything goes and where the people live. Because if I don't know where you live, I can't target you. And I'm taking that shotgun approach, which is just detrimental. I'll give you a key example of someone that I worked with in the Philadelphia area not too long ago. I'd say about maybe 18 months ago at this point. They did not understand that their clients and their caregivers do not live in the same area in private pay. So they opened up shop, set everything up in a very high-end area. Then they were stuck spending $3,500 a month on recruitment to get one caregiver a month. Okay, that's abysmal. By shifting the focus and really understanding what the demographic makeup is of a qualified caregiver, not just one that works Medicaid, but a qualified caregiver that specifically will work private pay, because they're also very different. All right, once you have that analysis done and you understand that, we were able to reduce their overall spend from $3,500 a month to under $500 a month.
Wow.
We were able to increase one caregiver to about 12 caregivers a month, just by making some very simple changes in how they're looking for caregivers and what their activities were in relation to it. And the same thing applies, again, whether you're looking for caregivers, whether you're looking for clients, and regardless of what your industry is, you have to know where you're going. You have to understand who to target. So in a general sense, let's put the two together. So now we know where the client is. We know that we want to focus on organic marketing, that business development. So how do the two correlate? Well, once I know where my client lives, I also know one key factor. Depending on whether we are in urban, suburban, or rural area, we're going to be anywhere between 4.2 and 10.6 miles from any hospital. That number works anywhere in the United States. Every single human being, depending on the type of neighborhood they live, are going to be between 4.2 and 10.6 miles from a hospital. Some people obviously closer, but at the limits. So if I know where my target client lives and I know where the hospital is in relation, I can go to cms.org, I can get some of their data, and now I can see what conditions are being treated primarily in those hospitals, and I can look for the accompanying support facilities around them. Who are the doctors? Who are the attorneys? Who are the accountants, the wealth managers, the fiduciaries? Who's the home health? Who's the home care? Who's the hospice agencies? Everybody along there. And now I can start to put together a real functional strategy that's going to drive clients my way, where now I do the work, I do the initial legwork, anywhere between 45 to 180 days, I've built up a solid referral flow, with a whole bunch of other techniques in the middle, that you essentially can automate your business development activities. At my peak, using these same methods, I was able to do this for a number of agencies in northern New Jersey, to the point where 2 years after I left one of these agencies, they were still getting steady referrals, an average of 10 to 15 a month, just because it was so targeted, everything was so specific, and this is how it plays out. And again, it's just knowing who you're talking to, and then knowing how to build it.
Once you figure out that formula too, Julio, you can just replicate it and just keep going.
Very much so. Yep. Yeah. As long as you have to understand, like I said, it all starts with who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to target? Then it all goes around the hospital. Now, from a marketing perspective, I hate marketing to hospitals. I mean, honestly, they're a pain to get into. There's a lot of rules. Getting in the door is not easy, but you still have to know where they are, because everything correlates. All right, everything builds around that hospital. Every single independent living facility that you will find will be between 2 and 4 miles away from that hospital. Your primary feeder for the skilled nursing is going to be between 500 yards and 2 miles. The further away from the hospital that skilled nursing facility is, the less clients that they're going to have, which means lower amount of discharges. Okay, and then it goes on from there. Assisted living, they're all within a certain radius. Hospice, all within a certain radius. Home health, all of this, and everything kind of builds out. Even even when we're looking at, again, accountants, attorneys, fiduciaries, all of these people, they're all,
The
everybody
whole
clusters
ecosystem.
within a
Right.
certain radius from a hospital. Even if it's unconscious, because everybody wants, because the old saying, location, location, location. So if you want to get the clients, you got to know where it all is.
I like to add one thing in there about,
Mhm.
business development, because I feel like in our industry, we can get, there's an awful lot of turnover, right? And we're building relationships. I think we have to remember we are building relationships with
Yes.
people
Mhm.
and not necessarily communities, because sometimes you do have to go back to ground zero
Mhm.
because somebody's leaving. So I think it's very important to develop those relationships to the point when they do have turnover and that
Mhm.
person, that key person you were getting referrals from leave, make it your goal to find out where they went
Yes.
so you can nurture that relationship in their new place.
Mhm.
Because, and then, we have to start over, unfortunately. But don't get
Mhm.
discouraged at that, because
Correct.
oftentimes people do, they get discouraged because they say, well, I've had a really great relationship with this nursing home. No, you didn't. You built that relationship with people.
Correct.
So you can do it again. And,
Mhm.
it gets you in the door to continue to build that relationship on that.
Mhm.
But take that as a positive and then find out where the other person went though too.
Absolutely. I would have to
Yes.
just add that I just wanted to, say that in my opinion, you are only as strong as your network. So when
Yes.
when you can call upon your colleagues who become your friends, that makes you even stronger and you lift one another up. And it's through those business and working relationships that everyone is elevated professionally and personally. So
Mhm.
Everyone
Yeah.
needs referrals. And you have
Yes.
to make sure that they recognize it can be, you can develop that relationship that you're going to give them referrals as well, because you can't be the taker. You can't constantly be that person who's taken and you give nothing in return.
Yes, and there are actually, as crazy as this is about to sound, there are workarounds to most of that. Okay, so number one, when, to your point, you are absolutely right, Donna. Turnaround is a huge problem. Pre-COVID, the average tenure of, other than hospitals, of your average senior care business was 18 to 24 months.
Yep.
Post-COVID, it's 6 to 12 months. So the turnaround factor really becomes a problem. Okay, so now here's the solution to that, and it's all about the economy of scale. Think about this. All right, so if I walk into, let's say, I'll just use you as an example. I walk into Rothkopf Law. I'm going to make friends with you. I'm also going to make friends with the receptionist. I'm also going to make friends with the person in the back that does the copy, the file clerk. I want to make as many friends, and building that depth will assure me that if you leave, I still have another contact in there, and now I'm not starting from ground zero. So while my relationship may get slightly damaged, and it's never destroyed. So this is actually a big problem that I've seen over the years. And one of the reasons why I say, if you see the cleaning lady, make friends with her at these facilities. It doesn't make a difference. And I'm going to give you a real life example of a client I had in Pasadena, California, a number of years ago. I was working with this guy's marketer for about 2 months, 3 months. And I always stress this. It doesn't matter who it is. Don't focus on the social worker. Don't focus on that DON. You have to be able to build the relationship all the way around. So he went and did that. He took it verbatim. He literally made friends with everyone. they hired me to come out and do an on-site visit for them, a marketing assessment, just to make sure things are moving along. And excuse me. And that was one of the places, this one place that he was really extra proud of, because he, according to him, he knew everybody. So we walked into the building. 2 days before we walked into that building, apparently corporate came in and fired everybody, except for the assistant activities director. All right, so basically the schlep that goes around and just picks up the ice cream when they're doing an ice cream social, that's the one person left standing in the building. When we walked in, the receptionist, everybody was saying hi to him. And this guy tells us, hey, listen, this is what happened 2 days ago. He goes, but I like you. The guy's name was Rommel. All right. He's like, I like you. And I'm going to introduce you really quick to the new staff. So he brought us in and told everybody from the administrator down, yeah, this is Rommel. Want to introduce him. He's from XYZ Home Care locally. And he is our preferred partner for home care services. Walked right out the door. Before we got to the car, the phone was ringing, right, with referrals. And that's where depth of relationships fixes somebody leaving, that transitory marketing. It doesn't matter who it is. You never know who's going to be your next ally. And it's also, again, as I said in the beginning, economy of scale. So now, even with that person leaving that facility, you've now got 2 facilities instead of 1, because you've built your depth in the facility that they were in, and now you've brought that ally with you to somewhere else that's going to help you make more depth in a new facility. And that's how you build automated referrals.
Yeah. Julio, it also wouldn't be unheard of for that assistant activity director to be an administrator, you know, not too far after that, because that's the way a lot of people work, you know, so.
And that's really what it all comes down to. It's depth and volume. And just like it's no different than losing an employee. You never want to be the only face of, you don't ever want one employee to be the face of your company. They have to see that there's more depth, because otherwise you're going to get lost if that employee ever leaves. It's the golden handcuffs, so to say. You can never fire them no matter how bad a job they do, because you'll lose your entire business. All right, so now we're going into messaging. All right, so we know who we're looking for. All right, we've decided on a general approach, business development, marketing. Now, we know where to target them. We know who it is that we're trying to find. And now we got to know what do you say? Well, we all heard the expressions right on the screen, know, like, and trust. Well, you know what? Marketing or business development is the introduction to know. All right, that part is easy. As long as I know your brand, I've seen your brand somewhere, I've heard your name, something along the lines, I know you. Whether or not I like you, a lot of that's personality driven, especially if you're an unknown or new to the market. As long as you can come in and put a smile on your face or just be a professional, most people will not dislike you. Contrary to popular fears of public speaking, most people are all likable. All right. I use myself as an example all the time. I am 6 foot, 250 pounds with visible tattoos. I'm not the friendliest looking guy in the world. All right. I'm a nice guy, but I'm not the friendliest looking guy. And at first approach, it's one of those things that people just are like, oh, this is the guy. And I'm not a big smiler. I'm relatively serious all the time. But still, I've had a very good career in sales, a very good career in recruitment, because I understand that most people, as long as you're professional, they will not dislike you. And trust is the hard part. And this is where messaging comes in. You are trying to get people that have zero need for what you're doing to trust you enough to put their reputation and their career on the line to recommend your service to somebody who desperately is in need of your help. Keep that in mind. That level of trust, how do you build it quickly? Well, there's a lot of techniques to it, and we can talk about this on another occasion, but one of the big things is messaging. You have to understand where it all comes to play. Your messaging is your company introduction. It's not just about who you are, it's why you are. Okay, always remember that. Who you are is easy. I can read your name badge. Okay, I can read your business card. Hell, if you've got your marketing properly done and you've got a branded vehicle, with a magnet or something at least on it, I can see who you are. But why do you do what you do? All right. That's the real introduction you need to make. Are you doing this for the money? If you are, you're going to have a very poor career in healthcare. We are a people business. Are you doing it for the love of helping others and just money happens to be an afterthought? That's a very big difference, because that just tells me that not only do I care, but I care about you enough to know that there is value in what I'm doing, and I want to give you the best for your money. Okay. And that is part of your why. That needs to be your introduction. Because there's a very big difference between saying, hi, I'm Julio, I'm a business consultant, versus me saying, hi, my name is Julio, I'm with Briones Consulting Group. The reason I do this is because when my father got ill and he was dying, the company we hired gave the most horrible service that we think accelerated his death. And I made it my life's mission to assure that any company I ever work with never provides that poor of a service again. I've told you the same thing twice, but which one is more impactful? Which one will foster more trust in what I said? Both of them were under a minute, but it's not that time. It's not anything else. It's the impact of the words. And this is where the company introduction, this is where trust comes into play.
Yeah, I've heard it called a purpose-driven business.
Yes.
People want to work with something that's bigger than themselves. They want to have the background behind it. They want to hear everything, why, like you mentioned, why you're in it,
yes.
what your aspirations are. So
yeah, and it's becoming more and more important as time goes on. One thing, like COVID had a lot of ups and downs. All right, pre-COVID, you can get away with a canned message very easily. Anyone can walk in and just say, hey, yeah, this is what I do. All right, great. Well, I'm sure I can find you someone. We were so isolated from each other psychologically as well as physically that I have found that over the past couple of years, that why has become more crucial to even the smallest business, even the guy that just has a lawn care service. People want to know, well, why do you do it? Because we crave that rapport, we crave that human interaction, and this is where you're going to find the success between that agency that's been going out there complaining that they're marketing for a year and can't get a single client, or hey, we've seen a 30% drop in business and we can't seem to recover, we're on this big downward spiral, versus people understanding that what you're doing is bigger than you, it's bigger than them, and it's and regardless of whether you're charging, whether it's Medicaid, whether you're expensive or inexpensive, that your concern has a base to it, that you have a why. That's going to make them trust you more.
It also shows how you're different, because at the end of the day, a lot of us all do the same services. I help people with Medicare. How many people are out there to do that? Desiree, how many home care companies are out there? You have to have a differentiator.
Yes.
And if your mission just aligns with them better, they're going to want to work with you.
Right. And I agree wholeheartedly. And this is, the whole thing about a differentiator. I mean, that's again another huge topic right there. But no matter what, look, John, you're hit the nail on the head. I can tell you, I personally am friends with about 24 guys that sell Medicare. All right, but one thing, not a single one are you. And that's the whole thing. No matter what, there could be 100 other home care agencies. Only one has Desiree. That's the whole thing. And this is where it all comes into play. So as long as you can identify what value you bring to the table, and this is where your story comes in, like why is it, what makes you do it? I have an acronym for it that I find really helps. No matter when you're doing your messaging, whatever your messaging is, you always have to remember you're trying to communicate your idea. You need to be able to identify a problem. You need to be able to describe a solution, exemplify why you are the best person to provide that solution, and then allow for action. All right, if you're missing any element in your communication, whether it's a Facebook post, a job ad, a verbal communication, no matter what it is, you're missing an element, you're going to drop the ball. If there's no problem that I've identified, there's no reason for me to be there. If you don't have a solution, then why are we talking? If you can't convince me you're better than the last guy that just talked to me, or in the case of digital lead source, in the 30 people that just tried to get a hold of me, there's no reason for us to keep talking. I'm just going to hang up on you. And then after all of that said and done, if you don't tell me what the next step is, then we're just going to end the conversation. It's not just hand me a business card and say, hey, nice to meet you. My name is Julio. This is what I do. It's, hey, my name is Julio. This is what I do. Look, my number's on the card. And now we're moving on. Now we've built that rapport where you've not only know what you need to know about me, why you should do business with me, what problem I fixed, but I've told you exactly what to do next. I've kept it simple. Okay. All of this is done for you to establish authority, okay? Because I don't care if, again, we'll use the example I used in the very beginning of this. You could be selling oranges on the side of the highway. You have to be the expert. You have to be the absolute best orange seller on the side of that highway that's ever graced the side of that highway, all right? And you have to be not just an expert, but you have to be a resource. If I have to call John for insurance, and then I separately have to go and dig around, and I ask him, hey, listen, who's a good elder law attorney? And he's like, well, I don't know, go figure it out. And then I have to go search things down, to find Donna, and so on and so forth. All of this happens. Now, how have I established authority? My goal, especially if we are doing business development, is to get you to pick up the phone for everything. I don't care what your problem is. You could need to have bed bugs removed from your tenant's house. Call me. I will find you an exterminator. In fact, I probably have 5 of them on my Rolodex. This is how much authority you need to be able to establish, and all of this comes in, and it all ties together in order to build know, like, and trust, in order to build these solid relationships, and in order to have a flow of referrals that never dries out, regardless if somebody leaves, regardless if hell, if the place burns down, you will still be able to get referrals, because as Donna mentioned earlier, this is a relationship-based industry. Those referrals don't just happen. They come over time. And it's just a matter of how fast can you shorten that span from that first introduction until they're comfortable giving you the referral. If you put some of the tips we've talked about amongst a whole bunch of others, you can pretty much assure yourself referrals in a short amount of time. It's just understand where to go, understand who to talk to, and understand how to talk to them. All right. So some of our key takeaways here: know your ideal target client. Okay. Know them. Don't just sit there and guess that, oh, I need seniors because I work in senior care. Who is it that you're looking for? How much money do they make? How many kids do they have? What does their life look like? What does their schedule look like? What need would they realistically have of you? Just don't go trying to be a premier service selling services at $40, $50 an hour. Don't try to be that attorney that bills themselves out at $1,500 an hour if you're shopping for clients in the hood. Okay, like that's just not going to happen. You'll never get there. Don't try to sell, I'll put you on the spot here, John. Don't try to sell Medicare services to, that easily transition out of Medicaid, up in Beverly Hills. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to succeed. Know who you're trying to find. Then learn how to talk to them. It doesn't matter if your target is referral partners, if you're targeting clients, if you're targeting caregivers, if you're targeting, to send out mailers, it doesn't make a difference. Know who you're looking for, know how to speak to them. How are you going to get to them directly? What is going to help you communicate to that individual? And then finally, and this part we didn't get too much into, but it really goes into business development. Develop a plan to reach them effectively and consistently. Predictability is the fastest way to build trust. Okay, if I'm going to tell you, if I go to meet you and we met on Monday at 2 p.m., I promise you, I will be there every Monday at 2 p.m. if that's a good time for you, until the point where I don't have to make an appointment anymore, because you will predictably believe that I will be there every Monday at 2 p.m. to the point where the first Monday I don't show up, you're going to call and ask, hey, what happened to you last week? You know, usually you come by, I have my calendar open for that. And that is how you build trust quickly. And that's actually how you can reduce time on referral from an average of 120 days. You can actually reduce it down to an average of 45 days by creating a predictable marketing schedule. And the same thing works with social media. Be predictable, not on the content, but be predictable on the timing. It's the same, you know, and these are the strategies that will help you cut your time to market, increase the volume of referrals, and help you build a very successful sales strategy overall in the senior care business. Any questions?
This was awesome. And it sounds like it's scalable too, the relationship building, because you have it down to a science. You're pinpointing your target and you're reverse engineering them. So yeah.
The hardest referrals to get in senior care in general, it doesn't matter if you're an assisted living, if you're a home care, home health, hospice, it really doesn't matter, is your first 5. Okay, those first 5 relationships are the toughest to build because you have nothing else to base it on. But to scale from those first 5 accounts to scaling to where you're getting a consistent 10 to 20 referrals a month over month, is actually exponentially fast, because once you've built the 5, now you bring value to others in your community, and you can build what I call an in-group, all right, your influencers network group, okay, where you now bring value to the table so other people want to work with you, okay? And once you have that, it becomes so much easier, because, for example, I go to a place with Desiree, and she's introducing me to Donna. And now I've been to Donna's office 5 or 6 times with Desiree. Now, the next time I go, I'm going without Desiree. Donna, you're going to ask me about Desiree. Hey, they usually come with Desiree. So what have I done? I've now created a second contact for Desiree without her physically being there, because I've brought her to your mind, because you're so used to seeing us go there. And now this happens. Next time I bring John. So now, John, I'm introducing you to Donna. And Donna's going to say, oh, you usually come with Desiree. So I've created that psychological visit for Donna, keeping her present in mind. And when the referrals come up, we're all 3 different industries. Now we've exponentially increased our reach. I'm physically making 1 to 2 contacts a month, but my in-group is so solid that other people showing up has created as many as 10 to 20 contacts per month, with me physically showing up once or twice. Very scalable, very quick to do. But again, the first 5 are the toughest, because you cannot build your group if you have nobody to introduce somebody to. And that's where it becomes a challenge. And that's actually where most people give up, and why many, unfortunately, senior care business people fail, you know, and they have to usually spend a lot of money in bringing in marketers or bringing in outside help, because it's a concept that's so difficult to understand sometimes. You know, easy to understand in words, hard to understand in practicality.
In practice, excellent information, Julio.
Yes.
And I've lived this job for, I've done this sales and marketing for well over 20 years, and what you say is true. It's absolutely golden.
Thanks, Julio. I always reference back to your videos and your insight on the industry. And it's always nice. I don't have that many years as Donna, but I just celebrated 11 years last week premiere, but always a refresher. And, you know, hearing what you have to say, tying it all in, and kind of, you know, revamping what I do and how I do it is always a good thing. So you're always a positive influence on everybody, and we appreciate your time and your insight into and being really transparent into what you do at your company, and letting us all know a little bit of secrets.
Thanks. I always appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks. I could talk to you all night. I know we don't have time. I think last time we got together on a Saturday, what did we talk for, like 3 hours? So
yeah, closer to 4. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I love it. And you share all your info so freely. You have
Yeah.
a YouTube channel, you have a Facebook group.
Yeah,
do you want to share a little bit of that info before we hop off?
If you guys look on YouTube, my show is called The Morning Meeting. All right, and I actually do a live Q&A every Saturday morning. Well, not every, I'm sorry. Most Saturday mornings. I will announce it earlier in the week if I'm not going to make it, but it's 100% live, and I answer all sorts of crazy questions from people in the senior care industry. And it's always a replay on my podcast. And if anybody wants more information, you can set it's The Morning Meeting on YouTube, or you can just look me up directly on thebrionesgroup.com.
Is that live meeting for your clients only, or is
No, it's public meeting. I do it in my Facebook group, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube live stream.
That's awesome. And if someone wants to hire you to help them build one of these marketing plans and put together a plan of attack, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can go to thebrionesgroup.com, and there's links on there to schedule a discovery call, and we can set up time and see what works best. I try to mold my services based on people's availability and budget. Not everything is through Zoom. I do a lot of on-site training, so it's all depends on availability. All right. And just one big announcement on my end. So if I'm actually going to be in Vegas because I've been awarded a Leader in Healthcare award that in December. Yeah, very excited about that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Gotta share some pictures of you holding up your medal, your trophy.
Yes, I'm actually going to be getting a big plaque apparently. That yes, yeah. So it's going to be lots of fun. Yeah. All right. So thank you all. Great being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank everybody for joining us again.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.